But it was when the Illuminati first started coming after him. And I'll never forget the day when they breached the house.
About date your age, date your age. Well, I want to date my wage. I'm finna shut all this ish down tonight. I want to date my wage.
Stay right there.
Where y'all at? Hey, chat, where they at?
Hold on. Cause you know I keep it on me now.
Yeah.
I keep it on me. You want to date your what?
I want to date my wage.
But it was when the Illuminati first started coming after him. And I'll never forget the day when they breached the house. About date your age. Date your age. Well, I want to date my wage. I'm going to shut all this down tonight. I want to date my wage. Stay right here. Where y'all at? Hey chat, where they at? Hold on. Cause you know I keep it on me now. Yeah, I keep it on me. You want to date your what? I want to date my wage. Shannon Sharpe should have taken Cad Williams' warning seriously when he said people were going to start coming for him because of their infamous interview. Honey, they've been coming for him hard right now. And word on the street is they're trying to turn him into the next Diddy. Jaguar Wright even came out and gave us a breakdown of exactly how they're planning on taking Shannon out. And it's safe to say Shay is done. In fact, it's being reported that right before all this mess, he was gearing up to interview Jaguar Wright. And that's what really set them off to destroy him. He has already lost hundreds of millions of dollars since Gabriella filed her lawsuit against him. But new victims are coming out to accuse him now of even more horrific things, including his ex-girlfriend of 10 years, Michelle, who recently did a whole interview detailing everything. They've already started working on a huge media campaign to take Shannon out. And no one is going to save him, because his truth-telling podcast was a threat to all of them. Michelle actually filed her lawsuit back in 2023, which is way before Gabriella filed hers, but people brought it back up this year when Shannon was getting dragged for his issue with Gabriella. Michelle claims Shannon said her in 2010 after she and him had been having an affair for almost a decade. She said the essay happened while she and him were in the middle of a heated argument about him cheating on her. It turns out she was still married when she and Shannon started sleeping with each other, but he demanded for her to leave her husband because he didn't want to share her with another man. And of course she did. However, after leaving her husband, she found out Shannon had been cheating on her the entire time with other women. And that's when she went over to his house to confront him. They had had arguments before in the past, but it was mostly over the phone. This time around, they had it in person. And Shannon took advantage to do all kinds of things to her that she didn't consent to. He forced her on her knees and forced his manhood into her mouth, even though she was physically hesitant. She said she even went on to verbally make it clear that she didn't want to do it, but he shoved it in her mouth anyway and pleasured himself. The lawsuit read, Shannon maneuvered her onto the bed and proceeded to have non-consensual sex while delivering a chilling message. He told me he was going to make it so no other man would want me. After this traumatic experience, Michelle said she tried to report him to the police, but he threatened her and her family and even sent his goons to come over to her house a couple of times to threaten her. He threatened to destroy my life. He told me he would use everyone he knew to ruin me. I had a basement apartment with a door that led straight to the sidewalk. One night, someone came right up to my door and said, "Shut up, effing B." I dropped the restraining order right then because I had a child in that home. There was no way I could risk it. The press room at the Broncos, April of 2002. And, but we didn't start talking until we met up at a club at Blue 67 in Denver. I don't know if anyone is listening from Denver, but yeah, we were at a club at the same time. We didn't go together. We just happened to both be there. And so he started talking to me, and he started pursuing me pretty heavily from then on. I resisted for a while because, I was a reporter, and I didn't want to mix the two. But he's very charming. We dated, until the 2010 incident, and then it came to abrupt end because I wanted, we were arguing and he was threatening me and stuff like that after, but, I didn't see him again after he raped me. What led up to that fight? That 2010 fight that you guys, I know that the argument ensued first before he allegedly the argument was about the fact that he had removed one girl from his house and put another girl in his house and didn't tell me. And he had asked me to break up with my husband at the time. We were just dating. So I was dating Shannon and my husband at the same time. Shannon asked me to break up with my husband, and I don't recall for sure, but I think I did. So, I was like, wait a minute. You want me to be with just you, but you want to move somebody into your house and not even tell me? So, that's what it stemmed from. He's not a faithful person, so I wasn't going to be faithful to a non-faithful person. It just doesn't work that way. Not for me anyway. Can you tell us just broadly? I know it's probably painful to relive the situation, but can you tell us generally what happened that day? It was fighting, and usually we fought on the phone and not in person. So, it was the biggest argument that we ever got in. And, he was controlling, he was domineering, he was manhandling me beforehand. And he wanted to have, and I told him no. I told him no because you gave it to somebody else. I didn't only tell him no. I told him why. And he wouldn't take no for an answer. So he overpowered me, put me to my knees, put his in my mouth, and after he got enough of that, he put me on the bed. And this was all AA's struggle. I had said no. And I said no even though I was thinking that. And so it was the hardest. Yeah, this is too hard. I remember he got dressed and he knew what he did. And so, I just kind of escorted him out the door. And then I wasn't going to do anything about it. Sometimes when you're with the person for a long time, it's hard for you to realize that they're being the perpetrator. Even though you know it, you don't want to admit it. And there's so much going through your mind. But then he started coming at me. If I tell anybody, he'll use everybody he knows to destroy me, which he basically has. And then he started making other threats against my life. While all this was happening, Jaguar Wright also stepped into the chat, and she went into details about what is really going on and why the industry is suddenly coming after Shannon. Now, we all know Shannon had a lot of executives pissed when he did that interview with Kat. To make it even worse, he followed it up with another interview with Monique. And as usual, she didn't hold back from dragging Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey for filth. Even during his interview with Kat, he explicitly warned him that the industry was going to come after him after their interview aired, and that one of the ways they'll try to get him was by using a white woman. But it's safe to say Shannon didn't listen because he kept on messing with them and even bragged about how he loves young white girls. And baby, they took notes and came right at him using a young white woman just like he said he liked. Get with a white woman 'cause I was scared she might have me running down the street like Jonathan B. You gonna be think not because I didn't like white women. I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not going to act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kong the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit down in 2 weekends. And that's the truth of the matter. So I stayed away from that. Remember what I did?
Come?
I remember getting up and I turn back and I look at my cat.
Excuse me. Cut.
And I look at my producer, and he's shaking his head. I'm like, oh man, we done messed up. So I'm like, what did I say? Yeah, did I say something? Did he like, this is going to be the talk of 24. No way. I'm like, you think so? He's like, and he's looking at me just like I'm looking at you, Cam. He's like, Shannon, this is going to be viral for the whole year. I said, come on, man. I said, so I'm thinking at that point in time, Steve Harvey is my most viewed podcast. He's at 8 million. I said, you think we going to beat Steve? He's like, yeah, I'm hoping for 10 million. That's all, Cam. If I get 10 million, I'm like, that's a pretty good interview. Think about how few people that's in this space that interview people that don't get 10 million. So, if I get 10 million, that's one of the biggest podcasts. Now, that's not Joe Rogan's numbers, but that's pretty good for YouPand coming in podcast. So, I felt good, man. But here's the thing I tell people. If I'd have had Kat mic'd up from the time he got out of the truck until the time he sat down, it did 100 million. Oh, he was on it. And I just like damn, 'cause I went back and heard, and I'm like, damn, he said that, where was I? He was saying so much, right, that I'm like, but Kim, I didn't know it was going to cause this kind of ripple. I didn't think it was going to move me in the direction. I'm glad it did. I understand what comes along with that. Like, but if you remember, he said it. He said, this is going to put you in another dimension. Definitely did. He said, but my mama said, but it's power in the tongue.
Yes.
He said he told me and my guy Jordan is over there. He said, now they're going to come for you. I said, can't come for me for what?
I didn't say.